Welcome into the day of the 2024 NFL Draft, aka one of my Christmases. If you love the NFL Draft, you have come to the correct spot. The mock draft we're about to get to first aired on the Chat Sports YouTube channel, but we will have exclusive NFL Draft videos for you throughout this year's NFL Draft right here. So don't miss out. Hit that sub button right now. Before we get into my final 2024 NFL mock draft, we are hours away now, if we're doing the math properly, from the 2024 NFL Draft. If you are excited, if you are hyped, and you're going to watch it here with us on Chat Sports, then like today's video. Number one is easy. It's Caleb Williams. There's not much to discuss at all on that front. Is maybe a little bit of uncertainty at number two, but as we sit here filming this Wednesday afternoon, certainly sounds like it's going to be Jayden Daniels. So back-to-back quarterbacks there. Number three is also going to be a quarterback. There's been rumors of a trade down by New England. There's been a little bit of buzz as of late that maybe it is ended up JJ McCarthy, and the Patriots stun everybody, and then maybe it seems like the Giants and Vikings try to climb up for Drake Maye. I would still guess it's Maye. And that's the end result for New England, and it's quarterbacks 1, 2, and 3. But who do you think the Patriots end up drafting? DM for Drake Maye or JJ for JJ McCarthy? Arizona has made it very clear they would love to trade down if they get blown away by an offer. I don't think that will end up happening, and I think they will instead, quote-unquote, settle for taking my number one player in this year's class. That's wide receiver Marvin Harrison, giving the Cardinals the actual number one wide receiver they've been searching for a while. All those draft assets, the trades they've made, Harrison can be the best of that bunch. I'd argue by even a pretty good margin. I have a trade, though. Yeah, I don't like doing trades in my final mock draft, but who here thinks Minnesota is just going to stay at 11? I think they're going to move up. So I think the Chargers, at a cheaper cost than Arizona, but also running the risk of a team like the Giants jumping in front of them, make the most sense. LA, I think, wants to go offensive line at 5. They could go receiver with that other first-round pick there. Maybe it's not 11 and 23. Maybe it's a little bit more. Maybe it's a future one, whatever. I think you're going to see Minnesota move up to get a quarterback, and that would then be JJ McCarthy. He's a really good fit in the Kevin O'Connell offense. He's also not going to be a Charger. I don't know where this Charger is going to trade Justin Herbert and take McCarthy stuff came from. It just doesn't make financial or football sense whatsoever. But I think that whether it's 4, 5, or 8 or 7, whatever, that McCarthy ends up being a Viking. By the way, for these mocks, my goal was to get the player and the team right, not necessarily the player and the number right. So who do you think will end up drafting J.J. McCarthy? We assume with the top half of round 1. It is the pinned comment on this video, so if there's an ad that plays, that's fine. You can just ignore the ad, skip it, and instead go vote who will draft J.J. McCarthy at the pinned comment of today's video. I'm not ruling the Giants out of the quarterback race, but I think if the top 4 are gone, they are like, oh no, we got stuck with Malik Neighbors, and happily take the dynamic playmaking wide receiver and enjoy having an actual number one for whoever their long-term quarterback ends up being. I know it's boring to constantly mock Joe Alt to the Tennessee Titans, but unless the Chargers take him at 5, in which case maybe the Tennessee goes receiver then, just kind of feels like the all too obvious pick. Dallas Turner has also been heavily mocked to Atlanta, to the point that even Adam Schefter was like, yeah, he's been mocked a lot, but maybe it's Byron Murphy. Or, sometimes it's always tough to sort through what's smoke, what's real, what's BS. Sometimes when you get the, hey, maybe it's not the guy that everyone's been mocking, it's that team trying to make it a little bit less obvious. Turner to the Falcons has been a popular mock draft pick since the Combine, really once they were kind of locked into getting Kirk Cousins. Roman Dunze's number 9 here. There's a scenario in which the receivers go earlier, and he's not on the board, or they even take like a Byron Murphy over him, or maybe Dallas Turner is there. But I would be surprised if a Dunze wasn't a top 10 pick. Now, many have mocked Brock Bowers to the Jets, and that is a very realistic outcome as well. But Joe Douglas loves taking offensive linemen. And even with Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses now on the roster, do we trust those guys to play an entire 16-game slate, 17-game slate? Because I don't. I think Fuaga is the type of lineman that Joe Douglas likes a lot. So I'll go a bit away from the consensus here. I'll put Fuaga at 10, what could be a trade-happy offensive tackle grouping. Chargers in at 11. J.C. Latham is a Greg Roman, Jim Harbaugh type of offensive tackle. Plug him in there at right tackle, and there's no position change that'd be involved for like a Joe Alt. Denver at 12. There are several teams this year, especially in this range, where I go, I don't know what you're going to do. I wouldn't be shocked at a trade down. I wouldn't be shocked at Latu out of UCLA is the pick. I think they like JJ McCarthy a pretty good amount as well. But maybe Sean Payton doesn't find the right trade partner or even slides down a few spots and goes, I'll take my own little Jimmy Graham. Plus, the medical around Latu makes him a little bit tricky to figure out where he ends up going. I went back and forth on a couple of names here. I think Fuaga would be a good pick for the Raiders, but he's off the board in this scenario. If it's not a quarterback, which I have a tough time figuring out what's smoke and what's not smoke around Michael Penix. There's been a concerted effort from his camp to hype himself up, which I respect, by the way. If the Raiders want the quarterback, then they'll probably take him here because he might not make it down to them in the second round. And if you want the quarterback, you're just going to take him. One of those things. If they stand pat, think Terrion Arnold at Alabama, if they don't go quarterback, is a very real possibility. So does Michael Penix go in the first round of this year's draft? Y for yes or N for no? Olufashinu out of Penn State. The Saints have all kinds of issues along the offensive line. Even in a trade-up scenario, I would not be ruling this one out. Colts at 15 take Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo. Maybe Brian Thomas Jr. is in play here as well. Maybe they get lucky and Brock Bowers slides down to them. Trade down is always certainly a possibility as well. But I think Quinyon Mitchell could certainly be in the cards and would be a very Chris Ballard-esque type of corner in the first round of the NFL draft. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. If you are anxious about who your team is going to pick, whether you're excited anxious or nervous anxious, you don't have to feel that way when it comes to buying tickets to your next event. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets thanks to killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee. The best price guarantee from Game Time, by the way, it's the Game Time guarantee, means you'll always get that best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Their all-in price feature shows your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal before you check out. You can buy tickets in seconds with just 2 taps. So download the Game Time app today, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, ChatSports, for $20 off. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, the lowest price guaranteed. I don't feel overly confident putting Troy Fautanu here at 16 because Seattle doesn't draft guards early. And that's what this would be. But his offensive line coach and OC at Washington have the exact same roles in Seattle. And it is a big need for them. Maybe they try to trade down, but I don't know how long those linemen are going to end up lasting. So it's not that. Maybe keep an eye on Cooper DeJean here for Seattle as well. Fits that type of, I think, versatile playmaker that would fit well in the Mike McDonald defense. Jacksonville at 17. I'll put Brian Thomas here. I thought about, dropping him down to Buffalo in a trade-up scenario. That would certainly make some sense. I think this is around the range he ends up going, and maybe a team jumps in front of Jacksonville to take a corner. More on that in a little bit. With the run on offensive linemen, I was down to 2 players here for Cincinnati. Amarius Mims and Byron Murphy out of Texas. I think Murphy would be ahead on the Bengals board. Neither guy would surprise me if they were both available, though. Jared Verse at 19 to the Rams. I know Peter Schrager said it's going to be an offensive player because it's the first-round pick for Sean McVay. I just don't know who the offensive player would be unless Mims, Guyton, they take a lineman. Like, they're kind of in good shape at receiver, and then I don't think they're going to go quarterback. So I went with the pass rusher to help fill a group that needs more help there. This could very well be Graham Barton. This could be Brian Thomas Jr. as well. Neither of those things would surprise me. If you're Pittsburgh, though, just run it back with Broderick Jones and Amarius Mims. One at left tackle, one at right tackle, and they can find their starting center in day 2 if a Jackson Powers Johnson or Zach Frazier slide down. Liatu Latu out of UCLA to Miami here at 21. I still don't love the idea of them taking an edge when they have 2 guys who are injured but starting caliber players. Thought about Cooper DeJean as a sleeper here, by the way. Also wouldn't rule out Graham Barton. Now, I don't know if they like him as a right guard, which might cause some issues there. They've shown interesting receivers. Can't rule that one out either. We know how much they would love to add more speed there. But I'll put Latu there at 21 to Miami. We will be live for every moment, every pick, every trade, every chaotic something or that happens in the NFL draft right here on Chat Sports. We will have the picks come in before the major networks do. We will tip them because that's more fun. And we'll have some fun audience engagement as well. So if you want to have the most fun watching this year's NFL draft, do with us here at Chat Sports. Subscribe so you don't miss out. I didn't put a trade here because I'm going to hedge my bets a little bit at a couple different spots and try to get as many player and team fits possible because that's how I get points in the mock draft competitions. Terrion Arnold. I would not be surprised if Philadelphia moved up. They are an aggressive football team. They have extra draft assets. They could jump into the mid to late teens and snag a Bama corner, or maybe they stand pat and take Kool-Aid McKinstry. Either guy would be a good fit for them. So at 23, let's go with Xavier Worthy. They don't have a lot of speed right now at wide receiver, the speed that they would like. And if you're going to be a run-heavy play-action offense, Xavier Worthy's a really good fit for that for LA. Or maybe it's Roman Wilson and we meme Jim Harbaugh Michigan picks. So Graham Barton is a pick here at 24. And I really don't know where Dallas goes if Barton isn't on the board. Is it a Tyler Guyton? Did they trade down? Did they take a defensive player? We know everyone knows they want offensive linemen, but if Barton goes 20 or 21 and Mims is gone too, how do they juggle and figure out the rest of that offensive line? I don't know where they end up going. I think Green Bay could also use an offensive lineman. Thought a lot about Tyler Guyton, thought about Amarius Mims as a possible trade-up option as well. Everyone likes to mock them Cooper DeJean, and I get it. That does feel like he'd be a pretty good fit in that defense. We'll go back-to-back corners here. Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. I think somebody good on defense will slide out of round 1. Maybe that ends up being Wiggins, but Carlton Davis is gone. There's your outside corner replacement. Chop Robinson, 27 to the Arizona Cardinals. About where I have him graded too, by the way. The first step is special, and the Cardinals need more pass rush help. Thought about, maybe trying to go offensive line, but with some injuries there. Not a lot of great left tackles for me, so I'll go with the defensive help to counteract the receiver earlier in round 1. I might look dumb on this one. A.D. Mitchell out of Texas. Of the guys left, he has the most he can be our number 1 wide receiver. I think there are also some teams that are concerned about Mitchell in terms of, hey, sometimes that effort isn't always there. I also wouldn't rule out Buffalo as a trade down team. If they don't think there's a legit wide receiver 1 there, trading down, letting a team like Washington come up to get their own offensive tackle, I think is very much in play. I'm going to pander a little bit here. I do think Darius Robinson is a good fit for what the Lions could be looking for, some inside-outside flexibility. Chiefs last year took the local kid who looks Dike Uzama. Darius Robinson is from Detroit. It fills the need. Wouldn't that be a fun selection for Lions? Plus, he's actually a good football player, much like FAU was last year for the Chiefs. Tyler Guyton then to the Baltimore Ravens. Hey, maybe they believe in Daniel Falele, maybe they don't. But they typically find value that slides down. I think Guyton goes round 1. He could be in play at 24 or even 25. And I'm making sure I get as many first-round guys as possible. I'm going to follow Chase Sr.'s lead here. I do think Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to go somewhere in this range. Ravens could make sense. Lions could make sense. The Jones fracture in his foot means I don't think it's a guarantee he goes in round 1, and the same way I thought he should have been before that injury. But corner is an area there, and they can take a right tackle in round 2. I'm going to go with left tackle for the Chiefs in round 1, and then they can get their receiver in round 2, insert whatever receiver that ends up being. Kingsley Suamataia out of BYU. Of the tackles left, there's a lot of tackles that go. If teams that value, arm length, it gets a little bit thin at left tackle. It's kind of Suamataia and Patrick Paul, Rosengarten, who I think also could be in play for the Niners, by the way. Blake Fisher, those guys are right tackles. Karan Namagaji's not ready to go, and he's not a round 1 pick. Zach Frazier's a center. Jordan Morgan is probably might be a guard for some teams. So I'll put Suamataia there and let him learn and develop with the benefit of being on a Super Bowl championship team. So who did I leave out of my 2024 NFL mock draft? Drop that player name or players if you think I'm being a hater to a few different people in the comments. I'll probably be 5 to 7 wrong. That's how it typically goes. So tell me in advance who I missed on. And again, folks, if you have not already, make sure you are subscribed to the Chat Sports YouTube channel, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Grades after each night in addition to the entire live NFL draft.